Hi everybody, this is Rikki-Lee from Pregnant Memories. I am creating a new tutorial for you to show you how to use the common phrase that we all use in Photoshop, which is masking and adjustment layers. So first of all, I have a photo here. I have decided that I want to make it darker down this side of her and brighten up her face. This is going to require me, masking is specifically for covering areas and revealing them, just like a real mask. So when we put a mask to our face, we're covering some of our face, but we're still revealing our eyes. So if you think of a mask in that way, that is actually what we're going to do in Photoshop. So I've actually brought in a second photo into this one. It doesn't matter what the content is. It doesn't matter what they are. I just want to show you exactly what a mask does. So I'm going to put this background, I want to edit this background one, but this photo I've put on the top is purely to teach you what a mask does. So here is the mask button here, add layer mask. It's down the bottom. It's the third option across. You've got link layers, add a layer style, and now you have add layer mask. So let's click that. Now you'll see in our layers palette we have a white rectangle next to the actual picture with a little link in the middle. Okay, so this is our mask. At the moment it is white because it is revealing everything on that layer. If I get a paintbrush and I choose black here, now I'm going to toggle my white and my black with X. Every time I press X on my PC, on my keyboard, it swaps. So I'm going to turn it to black. I'm going to get a brush, and let's make the brush big and at 100%. Let's see what happens. It's disappearing. And see what's happened to my rectangle up top? It's turned into black. Black hides it. So I can hide that whole layer. Now I'm going to reveal it again. And to reveal it, I'm going to turn it back to white. So I'm going to press X, and I'm going to just, let's just pop the photo over the baby and the mum. Okay? So this is revealing the layer here. Sometimes people find this really confusing. I think there's a number of ways to use the mask in terms of what you can reveal and what you can't. So I'm going to remove that now. I'm going to create a new layer. And I'm going to fill it with any old color. Let's go with red. Okay, so now I'm going to create a texture. Texture, I'm just going off the top of my head. I don't know. Okay. All right. Now, that red is covering my baby and my mother. I don't want that to cover the baby and the mother. I want that to be more the background. So let's go to our add layer mask again, and look what we've got here. We've got the white. If I click on that and press Control I, it actually inverts it so that it's covered in black. So now we've hidden my layer. I want to bring through my red where it's black. So I can either paint with my white brush. See down here it's red, it's white. I'm at 100% opacity. I can paint that and reveal what's in that layer. Another option is to, I've just pressed undo because I want to hide it again. Another way to make it a little bit easier is to get my selective tool. Oops. Click on the background layer. This tool is called the Quick Selection tool. It's quite a handy tool for those that don't know it. Have a little play with it. Okay, so that selected my mother and my baby. Now if I go to the black just here on my mask, I'm going to select, I'm going to go to back to this, and I'm going to select and I'm going to invert my selection. Okay, so now I've selected the black area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and fill my selection with white. So I've just pressed X to bring out the white to the front. And there you go. It's revealed the red layer. I've kept it hidden over the mother because I want her revealed. Okay, so now you've got the general idea of how a mask works. Obviously, I don't want an awful red textured background. So now that's masking done. Next is your adjustment layers. This is this list here. So I've got my background selected. The adjustment layer, it says create new fill or adjustment layer. So that's the fourth one across and it's next to the mask button. I want you to click on that and look what we've got here. A basic thing to do would be to darken down a patch that is too bright, in which we've got a number of ways we can do that. We can reduce the brightness, we can change the levels, we've got curves. There's so many different ways of doing this. It's just a matter of playing and working out the best way for you. For today, I'm going to use the levels. So that's created a new layer, levels 2, and I've got a mask. If I click on the layer thumbnail, it says layer thumbnail, right here, it brings up the properties. This is our levels palette box. This middle is the sort of like the middle between too bright and too dark. It's the mid-tones. So if I bring that down, it darkens things. Okay. Now if it's a highlight that you wish to bring down, this is your highlights and your really dark blacks. If we bring down the highlights, look what we have happen here. It's darkening my highlights. I usually try not to play with this part too much. I don't like to touch this because it creates a matte feeling, but between the two I can get the right level that I want. I'm also looking at the back of her hand because it was a bit bright. I can turn this off to see where I'm working and the difference that it's making. Okay, alright, so I'm going to go a little bit more extreme than I normally would just to give you the example. Okay, so now I've darkened my entire photo. Well, I didn't want to darken my entire photo. I only wanted to darken the highlights. So I'm going back to my arrow. I'm clicking on that mask, the rectangle, and I'm going to press Ctrl-I to reveal all my photo, to get rid of that altogether. I'm grabbing a brush. I'm going to make it around 50%, give or take. I have a very nice soft brush, not a hard brush. Hardness is at 0 because we don't want it hard. Now I'm actually going to brush white onto my levels mask, like this. And that is dulling down the bright bits that I didn't want so bright. Now I did say at the beginning I wanted to make her face brighter. So I'm going to go to my adjustment layers. This time, actually I'll use levels again. And I'll bring up the mid-tones to be a bit brighter. Okay. Now, again, it's brought up all the brightness. I don't want the brightness all over all my photos. So I'm going to press Ctrl-I and invert that. I'm getting my brush. I'm choosing the white again to reveal. This time I might even make the opacity lower so that you can build on it. You can pressing and building so that it's, because sometimes if you go 100%, it's too obvious. I'm just going to make that black again. So sometimes if you go full on 100%, you can sometimes create streaks if you're not careful. But anyway, so here we go. We've brightened the darker area and we've made the highlights darker. We can actually continue to change those if we like and tweak them until we're happy. So I mean, I can, obviously I don't want to do that, but I can play with this until it's exactly the way I want it. And same with our levels where I want it to brighten. And sometimes it's easier to rename your layer so you know what you want to do. So that's brightening. I might say brightening. And this is darkening. Now I change those names by double clicking on the text. Okay, double clicking. Alright. So this one, maybe I want to do it a different way. I'm going to delete those layers. I'm going to show you how to do it with curves. So again, adding a layer, adjustment layer, I'm going to use curves. Down here, this end is your dark shadows, and this is your highlights up here, this end. You can make your highlights brighter or darker. What I might do is I might bring that down a little bit. This one's going to darken for me. So I'll put darken, so I remember. And I'm going to invert, remember, Control I, get your brush, make it white, and see what I mean by at 100% opacity. Sometimes it's just too much. Sometimes you just want to build it up a little bit. Okay? And I will create another one to brighten. To brighten, I'm actually going to choose the mid-tones and drag that up. And look at her face. We can bring down the highlights for this one. A very normal way to go with this is to make an S. We can play all day with this, but I just wanted to bring up and brighten that shadow. So again, I'm just doing it a couple of times so it sort of sinks in. We're going to make that lighten. Arrow. What are we going to do? Invert. Control I. Grab our white brush and with the low opacity, just brushing that on to wherever you want to lighten. Okay. So that's how you lighten and darken patches. There is a million different things and options in here. Levels is amazing. It is so invaluable as a photographer's tool. You need to learn how to use your levels. You need to learn how to use all of these. They all have their different uses. I suggest mostly playing with the levels to start with, and sometimes we need to change the color of something. Selective color, color balance, and hue saturation is awesome. But again, it's about playing. And now that I've taught you how to use your masks and your adjustment layers, the world is your oyster when it comes to editing. I hope you have learnt something. And if you do have any questions, obviously, please always ask. You can either comment below or contact me directly at Rikki-Lee@pregnantmemories.com. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching.